Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. As you know, we go live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and we love reading your comments before, during, and after the show, especially Instagram, because that's where the comments go wild, particularly on a couple of posts the last few days. So we cannot wait to hear them. Jumping into our top story, what is the story with visit visas and the grace period being scrapped? So the 10-day overstay for grace periods that usually applies to visit visas is scrapped. That's according to local travel agents who confirmed the change via the National. So once your visit visa expires, a 50 dirham per day overstay charge will apply.
To avoid these fines, you can apply for a 30-day extension visa. This costs 800 dirhams and you should be done before you leave the country. Following updates to visas last year, entry visas are now valid for 60 days. They're single or multiple entry and can be renewed for a further of 60 days.
It's interesting when you say that an overstay fine has been scrapped, because I think it seems like as though we're being taken away from. However, in the last year, since April, they really did change the whole visa system. They've made it easier for us, particularly for visit visas. It's now 60 days total. And therefore, I think grace periods are confusing.
Yeah.
It's like having the buffer on the road. I think it just makes it a little bit more confusing whether it's like 10K, 20K. It's easier when you know exactly what it is, when you know what's what, and it's very clear.
Yeah.
So actually removing this grace period, although it sounds like it's a little bit challenging for people who need to figure out their days, it actually makes a lot of sense.
I mean, I guess like just to have a standard rule across the board, it makes sense. But it was like, I think anyone who was overstaying, for them it was just easier and comforting knowing that there is a grace period of like this many days, and that they have like, okay, 1 or 2 days that they've missed, they have time to just like get their ducks in a row. But now it's scrapped, so it's like people have to be that much more vigilant as to like, okay, it's going to expire this time. We need to make sure, you know, we get all our documents and everything sorted before it expires, like well before it expires.
I think, so it's single or multiple entry visa. Now they're all valid for 60 days. So it's kind of clarified that process. And I just remember my mum was always coming in on a visit visa. And we're so unlike other countries where some people can come in, they'll visit for, you know, if people travel into a country, they stay for maybe a week, 2 weeks. Dubai, people come and then they want to stay. And we have that story of people who are always like, how long did you actually stay in the country? You come for a day and you stay for 2 years. But this has clarified the process. So you're not going to be counting, you know, the days post visa. And then I remember with my mum, she would go to the very end of the visit stay grace period. So it would be the date that it was meant to be, plus the overstay, and then she'd be counting the days after that, being like, is it 1, is it 2? So I think this kind of just clarifies the process a little bit for so many people who are visiting the country. I just think it makes it a little bit easier. So we're expecting an official confirmation on that, by the way, because this is via travel agents and call centers.
So we move on to our next story.